Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience. And I know there's a few minutes delayed, but we will be finished on time. This is a California Acupuncture Board License Committee meeting. It's on June 12th, 2025, Thursday. And the meeting start at 9:48 this morning. And the physical address is California University of Silicon Valley, 441 DeGuigan Drive, room number 860, Health Center, Sunnyvale, California, 94085. I want to welcome everyone who is on the webinar and thank you for being here to support the board. And we welcome you and to participate, have open dialogue and work together. And thank you. So let me see, should we start with the roll call? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Techie. Chairman Techie.
Yes.
Member Leon.
Here.
We have a licensing committee present.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bodilla. I don't have any remarks, but I just want to say thanks. The staff has been work really hard closely with the board members and on many of the issues. So just to let you guys know, we prepare for this meeting, but there's a lot of behind scenes work. And thanks the tech team and everyone being here in person and on the webinar. Thank you. And let's go to the agenda number 3, public comments for items not on agenda. So let's open up to the room first. Is audience, public, have any comments for items not on the agenda? No? Okay, let's open up to the webinar public. Thank you.
All right. For WebEx, we're going to ask that people raise their hands. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hands. And for our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. People will be given 2 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. First, we're going to call on Ryan McCarthy. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, my name is Ryan McCarthy. Hello, my name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm here today on behalf of the California Acupuncture Coalition, a federation of California's largest acupuncture associations, including the American Association of Chinese Medicine and Acupuncture, Association of Korean Asian Medicine and Acupuncture of California, and the California State Oriental Medicine Association. There are a couple things that I wanted to bring up. The first being that the CAC recommends replacing the term exercise with the term therapeutic exercise in the acupuncture scope of practice. The definition of therapeutic exercise aligns with what licensed acupuncturists currently are performing within the state of California and will help align with insurance coding definitions to ensure that acupuncturists are able to bill insurance properly and, mitigate any issues that might arise where insurances are giving acupuncturists a hard time with the billing. Therapeutic exercise is defined as a structured and planned physical activity prescribed to improve or restore physical function, prevent loss of function, or enhance overall physical fitness and wellness. Examples of this include stretching and strength training, things that acupuncturists have already been providing, and we recommend changing the definition to
30 seconds.
We recommend changing the definition to therapeutic exercise to ensure greater cohesion with the insurance code. Thank you.
Hi, this is Chair. I just wanted to see, let's give like 3 minutes if you don't mind. Thank you.
All right. Believe that was Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you wish to continue for another minute, or did you
Yes.
say the things that you needed to say?
That was everything that I needed to say on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right. Next, we're going to call on Anyork Lee. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
So I have 3 items. Number one, to follow up the last November board meeting, there's a suggestion to increase the entry level to sit in the acupuncture program from the high school to the bachelor degree and prefer the life science major. I like to see the education committee can give some suggestion to the full board. Second is the doctor degree. We have a lot of schools present the doctor program, but I like the name of the doctor degree to be unified, and the standard should be consent among the school. It is very important the school get a consensus with a unified doctor degree name. We have a similar standard for each school. Instead of this school has one standard, our school has another standard. So the school need to work on that, and the board should supervise the doctor degree name and the standard. The third one is dry needle. We discussed a lot in the last board meeting. Even during I was in the board position, I already mentioned dry needle is part of acupuncture. People cannot use different names to confuse the public. Instead of keep confusing the public, I suggest the board should put acupuncture scoop needle including the acupuncture needle. This time, someone say dry needle. Next time, maybe say the hollow needle. Next time will be another needle. So needle is needle. Acupuncture include all the needling technique. So I like the board consider put the acupuncture scope, including what is confused the public now for the dry needle name. And that's my 3 recommendations, not in the today's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we're going to hear from Mesra H. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mesra, and I'm a newly licensed acupuncturist as of April of this year. This is my first meeting. I just wanted to get a sense of how things go. And one suggestion that I would have is to update the pocket license to the size of a credit card, whether that's still paper and we can easily laminate that, or if it's actually a credit card or a plastic card with an ID, like a government issued ID. I think that would make portability a lot easier and also ensure durability over the 2 years that we need to have that on our person. Thank you.
Thank you. Next and potentially our final commenter is Lin Yang. If you've not had a chance to speak and would like to, now is the time to raise your hand. Lin, I've sent you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, everyone. So can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. My name is Lin Yang. I'm Vice President of AACMA. I'm also Chair of CAC. But I'm speaking on behalf of the CAC today. I'd like to concur what Ryan, the issues that Ryan raised about update the language in the practice scope the part is the exercise. So the exercise needs to be updated to therapeutic exercise in order to reflect the work and the effect of the exercise we do or acupuncturists have been performing in order to in line with with the coding and also the definition of the therapeutic exercise. And I believe I will have opportunity to speak on other matters regarding dry needling and manual therapy. Is it correct? I have a opportunity to speak about it in item 4.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Legal counsel has afforded me the opportunity to answer that. And item 4 will be reviewing the minutes from the previous licensing committee that happened in March. So as long as the comments pertain to what's captured in the minutes, not the content of the minutes. If you're still on the line, Madam Ying, could you please let us know what were the topics again that you wanted to discuss? Dry needling and manual therapy?
Okay, so I
Correct?
can yes, I just want to express the opinion about these 2 subjects. So I guess my question is, are we allowed to make that opinion or comments during for the when you go down to the item 4? I'm sorry.
I would make those comments now, as our minutes is just to review the content of the minutes, not to rehash the discussion that was captured in the minutes.
Okay.
So please proceed.
Okay. Okay, so let me move on to the tuna therapy, Asian massage or tuna therapy. We agree with the chair, Mateki, and public members on the need for the legislative updates to adopt a terminology that more accurately reflects the nature of the tuna therapy. And our suggested language is to replace the use of Asian massage, acupuncture, to the use of a manual therapy, including but not limited to tuna therapy, acupressure, and myofascial release. Myofascial release is one of the techniques we commonly used to restore the function of the body. And in terms of the trigger point, acupuncture or dry needling, we propose the clarification about the different types of needling in the practice scope. And we agree that a trigger point acupuncture or dry needling is acupuncture or any type of acupuncture or needling technique to restore the function of the body, and range of motion is the jurisdiction of acupuncture board. It is acupuncture. So we suggested the clarification of the language. Example is the acupuncture includes but not limited to dry needling, acupuncture, and auricular acupuncture, and facial acupuncture. So do I still have time? Okay. Sorry.
All right. Thank you so much for your comments.
Moderator,
next,
go ahead and allow speakers, if they want to speak again, the opportunity to speak again. So Madam Young, if you would like to come back after some other folks have had a chance, you'll be able to speak again.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to hear from Ron Zaidman. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm going to introduce one of our patients who has been receiving acupuncture from our clinic, including dry needle points or the Usher points. So I'm going to allow him to speak directly through my microphone. He's on the phone and he was unable to get on. So this is Jerry, one of our patients. Go ahead, Jerry.
Thank you. I'm a United States Air Force Vietnam era veteran, Jerry Bernardoni. I'm 78 years old. I was introduced to Five Branches University when referred by my primary care doctor at the Veterans Administration after I refused to take drugs to eliminate the pain in my right shoulder and neck. My hope was to get relief from the pain without using drugs. When I got my appointment, I was a little apprehensive as to whether acupuncture was for real, but I was not afraid of dry needles. All I wanted to do was less pain. I was excited by how much better I felt after the first treatment, and I'm still amazed at how much better I feel walking out of the university than I did walking in. Currently, Five Branches is assisting me with physical recovery of my body from cancer surgery. We are working on returning feeling to the surgery sites, and progress is being made. We are also continuing to care for the swelling and discoloration in my legs due to eczema. After being treated, circulation is improved, as is the skin color of my legs. They are getting a healthy color to them. The treatment lasts and are improving for longer times, as it's taking longer for my legs to look ugly again. I'm very grateful. I am retired. I cannot afford acupuncture treatment. I rely on the no-charge Chinese medicine acupuncture treatments provided by Five Branches University to control and manage my body more effectively. The VA treats my pain issues for medication, and Five Branches treat my whole body with healing and natural healing without medication. I'd like to say that the
30
treatment
seconds.
I received from the faculty and students assigned to care for me at Five Branches University is truly God's work being done with their minds and their hands. Please, it is important that the California Acupuncture Board continue to authorize and support acupuncture and Eastern medicine treatment provided by Five Branches and other like universities for the treatment of our nation's veterans at
Time.
no cost. Acupuncture is a blessing to me and other veterans, and I have spoken with at Five Branches. If you have questions, I'm ready to answer them. Thank you for my extended time.
All right. And if you need to speak some more, I see that your hand is up on a different profile. Next, we're going to hear from Ryan McCarthy. Hold on just a moment, please.
Moderator, if we can hold off just a moment since we're going to. Okay. Apologies. Proceed.
All right. Next, we're going to hear from Ryan McCarthy. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello again. Ryan McCarthy here on behalf of the California Acupuncture Coalition. I wanted to speak quickly on the issue of dry needling. The California Acupuncture Coalition agrees that there is growing concern about the illegal practice of dry needling occurring within California. We have heard some stories in the past year or so that are particularly concerning, with where professional athletes have received dry needling at the hands of physical therapists who are unlicensed to practice acupuncture and hesitate to report the incident out of fear that it could jeopardize their professional career. And this is something that we think is very, very concerning. We have a few preventative measures that we would strongly encourage the board to adopt. The first one would be to issue a consumer advisory warning against unlicensed dry needling on the CAB website and through the Department of Consumer Affairs. to ensure that anyone who is receiving this treatment is aware that you are only allowed to practice acupuncture as a licensed acupuncturist, not if you're a physical therapist or any other profession that does not have the proper licensing. Another thing we would like to do is conduct outreach to major athletic leagues and major university teams to caution them about the risks and legal implications of unlicensed dry needling. I know we've heard several times that physical therapists and athletic trainers at major universities are practicing dry needling on their student athletes who are completely unaware that the practice is illegal and unsafe when done at the hands of non-licensed acupuncturists. And the third would be to include dry needling in the consumer brochure and urge the public to verify whether the practitioner is licensed to practice acupuncture. That's just another way of ensuring that consumers and patients who are getting this treatment are being protected and ensuring that they're receiving the proper treatment and ensuring that they, aren't going to suffer an injury at the hands of someone who is not properly trained in this medicine. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Lin Yang again. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, Lin Yang again on behalf of AACMA. And I concur with what Mr. Ryan said about taking preventative measures to raise the awareness of the public about potential illegal dry needling performed by unlicensed professionals. I also would like to touch upon so the bleeding, therapeutic blood withdrawal, and needling and acupotomy. And for the bleeding and therapeutic blood withdrawal, bleeding and therapeutic blood withdrawal techniques have been used by traditional Chinese medicine practitioners for 1,000 years. And I acknowledge the acupuncture board safety concern regarding these practices. However, a complete ban on these techniques would not serve the public interest. So I'd like to urge the board to adopt reasonable safeguards and regulatory restrictions to mitigate safety risks rather than prohibiting the practice entirely. For acupotomy, it is a useful technique. We suggest the mandatory training class on acupotomy, including both didactic and clinical training to safeguard the safety. So in regarding the modern device point stimulation, heat, magnet, light, laser, and sound therapy, we agree the board needs to collect more data for light, laser, and sound therapy before approve it or include it in the practice scope. That concludes my comment. Thank you so much for that time.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to call on Mela Shun. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to try and send you a request to unmute your microphone. I realize that there have been some technical difficulties.
Hi, yes.
All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, please.
All right, so my question, so in previous versions of the California Acupuncture Licensing Exam Handbook, there were clearly defined percentages that break down for each content category on the exam, so like acupuncture foundations, etc. But in the current version, there are no longer percentage allocations. So I was wondering if you guys could clarify if the weighings still exist internally, and if so, why are those not being disclosed to candidates anymore? That's it.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Jerome Jang. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. All right, let's try Jerome again. We're sending you a
Hello?
second. Hi.
Hello? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jerome Zhang from Hembrow Medical University in Southern California. I remember that the acupuncture industry started discussing whether to set an entry qualification of an acupuncturist to a doctorate degree more than 10 years ago. But today we are still discussing it and doing nothing. Other alternative medicine practitioners across the United States have gradually raised their professional qualifications to a doctoral degree. Chiropractor and natural therapist required a doctorate degree at the beginning, and a physical therapist, physician assistants, and nursing practitioners all raised their bachelor's and master's degrees to doctorates. The entire medical system is improving their qualifications, but only acupuncturists are still discussing whether to do so today. I really cannot understand why. If we still refuse to raise the acupuncturist qualifications to a doctorate degree today, I can predict that in a dozen years, the title of acupuncturist will no longer exist in the alternative medicine community in the United States. And acupuncture, this excellent alternative medicine, will be divided up by other practitioners who will use their unprofessional techniques to endanger the health of the American people. This is my comments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Becky Kelber. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Becky Kelber. I am a retired doctor of pharmacy, and I practiced for over 30 years in an acute hospital setting. In my day, to work as a clinical practitioner, it was required to have a doctorate degree. Western medicine deals very effectively in acute and traumatic situations, but I feel it is very limited when it comes to chronic problems. I became aware of the practice of acupuncture through owning dogs. I have been blessed to meet veterinarians who have extended past their traditional Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree given by Western education and entered into further education for traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. Over the past 7 years, these wonderful doctors have opened my eyes to TCM food therapy, acupuncture, and herbal medicine. And I realized that TCM is a way of keeping pets and people healthier. It uses a much more rounded and holistic approach to recognize patterns of imbalance and disease. I decided to search for an acupuncturist for myself. I have many doctors, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, a gynecologist, an internist, a dentist, and I still had issues that could not be alleviated through Western doctors. It came as a shock to me to learn that not every acupuncturist licensed in the state of California has a doctorate degree. Even veterinary medicine, you must be a doctor first. Then you can increase your education by learning acupuncture. So how can it be that the doctorate level is not required in the state of California to treat humans? It is very confusing, and it seems to me, after looking through your materials, that this is just a difference in clock hours of instruction that separates your master's degree from your doctoral degree. I have found a wonderful acupuncturist who has a doctorate degree, and I am pleased to say that after 15 appointments, I am feeling better than I have for the past 10 years. So as to not confuse the general public and to give credit in the highest form possible in the state of California, I urge the board to push for all acupuncturists to have a doctorate
30
degree
seconds.
and the title of doctor to their names. Anything less than that takes away from the importance of this healing art and lessens the value of thousands of years of an experience and millions of patients who have benefited from your system. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And those are all of our requests for comments at the moment.
Thank you, moderator. As a point of clarification, there was a public comment by citizen Melashun, I believe, regarding the exam percentages. I'm allowed to clarify there that there was exam security, current practices. Those were the reasons for removing the percentages from the handbook on content being tested. Thank you.
Thank you to the public who opened up all these discussions. As a chair for this committee, I just want to say, David, is there any other on the WebEx would like to speak? Because I'm going to open up to the audience here inside.
There
in
are no
person.
other requests via WebEx for public comment.
Thank you. Thank you, David. So I would like to open to the in-person, please.
Hello? You can hear me. My name is Neil. Thank you, and I'm off.
Relay.
Again, my name is Neil Miller from CalAtma. I'd like to applaud the board, Ben and his staff for putting together today's agenda. Some of the items that are being discussed here in the open comment that aren't on the agenda are the same issues that we've been going over for many, many, many years. And the last couple of meetings, we've been discussing them here and maybe getting a little bit more clarity certainly for our public members and bringing them up to speed on some of the things that we've gone on in the past. I'd like to make a recommendation or to just put it out there for discussion, because it took forever to get things on the agenda, and now we're putting things on the agenda. And as one of the people here said, it's going on for 10 years. For me, it's 30, over 30. And so what are we going to do with all this knowledge? So after today's meeting, this isn't on the agenda, but I would like for the board to put their heads together or have some sort, in a public forum to have a workshop on where do we take all this? And we have a framework. When we had a crossroads where the board had some issues and wasn't able to really answer some of the questions to better protect the public, we ended up at the Little Hoover Commission through the legislature. And the Little Hoover Commission reviewed everything. That's for our public members who aren't aware. And they came up with a set of recommendations. This is almost 30 years ago. And we haven't really addressed any of those issues. The last couple of meetings, we've been bringing them up and discussing them. So now where are we going to go from here? I mean, everybody here is talking about the same thing: dry needling, manual therapy, no Asian massage, injection therapy, light, sound. So is it possible to write some sort of report, maybe towards year end, to say since the last Sunset Review, we've been reviewing these things and bringing them up since Little Hoover Commission, and this past year since the Sunset Review, we have been continuing to flush these things out. It's clear to the board that something needs to happen legislatively. We can't make that, but we're letting you know that the public is bringing it to us. And to better protect the public, we would like to include the BMP or, sunset review. So we get there ahead. So we're not preparing at the last minute for sunset review and cramming everything in there, that we take a much more responsible position to try to do something with all the great work the board has done in bringing these things forward, especially today's agenda. So again, I compliment you on the agenda, but I want to bring something forward with all of this. I have an issue that I don't know how to bring up, and it would be a future agenda item perhaps, but now I could maybe possibly bring it up. It has to do with fraud. And our association has been getting some calls from some of our members.
Let's let it roll.
Thank you. From some of our members acknowledging fraud. Some people have gone to work for somebody and they were committing fraud and they left. And they contacted their association. And I said, you need to write a complaint. And so I don't want to get involved beyond letting you know and letting the board know. And there's more and more fraud going on. And we as a profession need to have some sort of whistleblower, or there needs to be, I don't know what the protocol is. So I'm looking at Brian. I'm looking at legal counsel to try to plant a seed so that his mind could think about it. What is the best way to bring this forward? There's some sort of whistleblower thing, but I've seen more and more of it, and we've been getting more and more complaints. And I talked to someone on the board, and they said, we need to address it. We don't know how to address it quite yet. It hasn't really come up like this. Somebody makes a complaint and they use them as opening a case. So think about it as a possible, solution. We're trying to protect the public, and I'm coming to you with a real problem. And it's bad for the public, it's bad for the profession, and it's bad for the consumer. So, and that's not on the agenda that I will bring up today. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just wanted to see with the fraud issue. I thought we had a channel they can,
Yeah, as a point of clarification, when in this situation we heard that there might be fraud, we highly recommend and urge consumers or people that see this happening to submit a complaint to the board. Granted, we can't just go off of hearsay. It can't just be he said, she said. At this point, we would need to be able to see some evidence of some kind that would show cause for opening the investigation. So ultimately, we would we have an online complaint submission process. We also have an paper. We'll receive it on paper as well. And we would need the individual making the complaint, or otherwise known as the complainant, to provide that indication of what evidence is possible to see, and their name and contact information. They would be most likely interviewed, as they are the source of that evidence. And so I understand there might be some reluctance on people that are seeing this and doing that. Ultimately, it does require someone to step forward on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Baudia. Okay. So we have another public want to make the comment in person. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Philip Yang from California University, Silicon Valley. I heard previously several speakers mentioned about the title for acupuncture. So I supported the proposal, like to raise our entry level to doctor's degree, so that we can raise our whole professions, the practice, the capability, and also the career path. We've been having RSE title for 40 years, so to get the doctor's title, to get everyone to be the doctor. And as I know, in California, most of the schools get the approval to provide the doctor's program. So we strongly support. The second is about the dry needling. Dry needling has been mentioned for so many years. I actually, in the beginning, when I heard the dry needling, I heard, what is dry needling? Then when I know that technique is exactly what will be practiced. They just give a different name, but essentially it's the same. It's just like my name is Philip, also Chinese name is Yang Lei, but it's still the same person. Then the one thing is we need to practice the acupuncture correctly. Like I heard many episodes when someone's not well trained, when they use the kind of dry needling technique. Actually, this is what we call the Ashi points. Ashi points is a strongly stimulate. They stimulate the nerves, they get the nerve damage. Then stimulate too deep, they may hurt them, hurt the internal organs. So that's not right. Of course, the other profession like the PT, they know very clearly about the anatomy of the human body, but the techniques is not very well trained, and so if we can put the dry needling, we can use the same term because it's essentially the same into our scope of practice of acupuncture, because it is our practice already. So that will be benefit the whole the consumers in California to avoid someone who is not well trained to practice the dry needling technique. And another thing, about the manual therapy. So I support the proposal that to clarify the manual therapy statement in the scope of practice, like a trainer massage, deep tissue massage, shiatsu, and so on. Essentially, is the same. They should be in our scope of practice. So when we get a clear statement, that will also protect our profession. And breathing techniques is not very clear in the scope of practice, like a qigong healing, energy work, hand-on healing, and someone called the mind over the tissue, someone over mind over the matter, and so on. These are all the scope of practice. Qigong, essentially is hand and the mind and the breathing together to achieve the healing effect. This is very, very good. So should be more clear in the scope of practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Point of clarification. I saw a comment flash up on the screen. I'm not always able to track that, but in terms of communicating with the board for policy items or any items, please email acupuncture at DCA, that's Delta Charlie Alpha, .ca for California, .gov for government. Also, you can go to our website, and that's where you can file a complaint. You'll see a drop-down menu about halfway down the page that says, I'm a consumer, I want to. And then you just select file a complaint. We'll look on perhaps making a file a complaint button more visible at the top of the page, make it a bit easier for consumers as well as a possibility. But ultimately, those are the ways that you can file a complaint and reach out to the board. Additionally, if it's a policy matter, you can go directly to ACU policy, that's ACU policy, one word, at dca.ca.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bodia. Now we have another public member in person would like to make comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Hoffman, president of Yosemite University. I'm also the vice chair at ACOM, board member at CSOMA, and on the board at CAC. Just wanted to comment on the idea of the entry-level doctorate being the primary degree. This is something that I long agreed with and was quite surprised when I entered the profession, and this was not the norm. But in my position at CSOMA and at ACOM, and now as the president at Yosan, I've heard some varying viewpoints that I think are at least worth bringing up in a public forum. ACOM addressed the idea of raising the entry-level requirements, bachelor's degree, or at least to the 90 unit degree, 90 credit degree that's now present in the entry-level doctorate. And what we found is a great number of schools actually were against that idea. About 20 to 30% of the students that enter our profession actually come with just 2 years of college. So at a time when schools are already suffering from low enrollment, the problem would then, affect our enrollment numbers and may affect some schools greatly. Every school is different. Some schools, that percentage might be small, 5 to 10% of students. PCOM offers a bachelor completion program with their regional accreditation. They're able to address this issue. But for some schools, this percentage actually is quite high. It can be even greater than 30%. So to address this issue of an entry-level doctorate being the primary degree might negatively affect schools. The other issue is the pressure on the profession with gainful employment numbers having to be reported now. If we raise the entry-level requirement and the entry-level degree title to a doctorate, it may increase the time that students are in school, which is currently at least 4 years for most California acupuncturists. They may even go as long as 5 years. So the cost would be greatly affected as well. Therefore, our gainful employment numbers would look quite bad. So that's another thing to consider. The other issue, which some of the board members know, is in China, you don't need a doctorate to practice. You have a Bachelor of Medicine and then a Master's of Medicine, about 6 to 7 years of school. They get the doctoral title upon licensure, not upon the degree. There is a doctoral degree in China. I'm currently a student at Zhejiang Chinese Medicine University, but most people don't go on to get that doctorate degree. It is a master's degree only. And then the last piece is that we do not have any data to support success, either as an undergrad coming into the acupuncture profession or as a doctoral title practicing acupuncture in California. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. So
Madam Chair, can we hang on for just a second?
Sure. Thank you.
There's the possibility that someone online would like to make a comment.
Sure. Thank you.
So want to remind our online participants to raise their hands. You can do so by tapping the hand button at the bottom of your screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. All right. Looks like we have a request from Julia M. Urses. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm heard. In response to the, there are so many great comments that have already been spoken to. So thank you for everybody that's bringing up really important issues, including the one about getting things completed and having some kind of state of the union where we actually know what kind of progress we're making. I mean, geez, wow. Yes, please. And then I wasn't quite sure what fraud, yeah, like clarify if Neil could clarify what would a whistleblower look like in terms of calling out fraud, and what if he has an idea of like a process or just something to, I don't understand what that might even look like. So that's it for me today.
Point of clarification, that item's not on the agenda. I would urge that you reach out to that professional association and bring a matter up directly with them. End point of clarification.
Any
All
other
right.
comment?
There are no other requests for public comment via WebEx at this time.
Thank you, David. So should we move to the next agenda? Number 4, I believe, is review the meeting minutes from March 7, 2025, and a possible approval for the meeting minutes. Member Liang? I just have the last one.
And apologize to Chair Mateki. We do have a correction. The last item of the minutes, it says that President Chen adjourned, and it was Chair Mateki that adjourned. So apologies on the discrepancy there. We'll get that fixed.
Thank
Any
you.
additional changes or modifications? Comments?
I don't have Member Liang. No?
We'll make a motion to, or we'll
would move to approve the minutes with the changes recommended.
Okay.
Or something like that.
It's okay to make a motion right here, even though it's just two? Okay.
Okay.
So moved. We have to make the motion first.
Let's do that.
You can just say so moved.
Okay, so moved.
Do you want a second?
Second.
Okay. Now open to the public. Any public comments in the audience? Seeing none. Let's go to WebEx.
All right, we are open for public comment on agenda item 4 and the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. This is on the meeting minutes. All right, looks like we're going to call on Julia M. Urses. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. All right, we're going to try again, Julia. Hang on just a moment, please. Julia, if you could just type into chat if, oh, it looks like you're unmuted.
Ah, great. Okay. I'm noticing on item 4, Greg Leung expressed appreciation and actually, sorry, that wasn't the one. Item 5. I think this idea of acupuncture assistants in particular within the 5 years of graduating and licensure, maybe even before licensure for that matter. But there should definitely be some kind of board requirement, in my view, because I think that's a lacking component in terms of the success of many people in this field. So yeah, I just wanted to second that, and that's it for me right now.
As a reminder, this is to just address if the content of the minutes are accurately captured. We're not looking to rehash any of the discussion that was captured at the previous meeting. Thank you.
And that was our only request for public comment via WebEx.
Thank you, David. Okay, so you have any?
Motion on the table is to approve the minutes with the correction for item 6 to Chair Mateki. We have a second. Let's do roll call. Chair Mateki?
Yes.
Member Leon?
Second. Yes.
Yes, so it passes. It's accepted, I think, is the official term, but yeah.
Yes.
Since we're not at quorum for a board meeting. I do want to thank the public for their comments, especially first-time visitors. We do encourage that. The purpose of the points of clarification is just to educate the public on the process of how board meetings must be run. So we are grateful for your comments. Please do keep coming in, but we need to stay on topic.
Also, just to add to that, so just so the members of the public, especially new members, are aware, we operate according to the Bagley-Keene open meeting law that imposes restrictions on providing public notice of meetings and limits conversations to items already listed on the agenda, which is why oftentimes you're providing comments, but if it's not on the agenda, the board members can't have a discussion on it.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move to agenda item number 5, discussion and the possible action on the clean needle technique requirements. So
one moment. We're trying to address some technical issues. If we could take a pause for a moment.
Should we just take a 10-minute break?
Let's take a 10-minute break.
Okay,
Madam
thank
Chair.
you.
Sorry.
Yes. This is a Chair Mateki, so we will resume. Okay, the item number 5. Discussion of possible action on the clean needle technique requirements. So I just want to see, you can see today is a little bit a different style, just this is a committee meeting, and I would like, encourage, especially thanks to the public, being really have the open discussion, and also Member Liang is joined the board. Actually, this is, the beginning, so would like to know more information, and I'm continue learning. So just to let everyone know is, it's the opportunity for you to participate and also work with the board. We are here to listen, to serve. California is a very unique state. We have a 39 million public relying on what we provide and enforce. So I just want, because we come to the clean needle technique, there is a lot of safety issues surrounding, and also in the hospital as a physician, this is always the top priority, safety. Hospital, we have a joint commission coming every 3 years to credit the hospitals. So I just wanted to, let everyone know the policy made from the board actually it's very pertinent and it's important we practice follow the guidelines. It's one of the requirement for you to get a credential in the hospital, need to have the clean needle technique certificate. I think the questions, Member Liang, and also Mr. Boudia, please chime in, and I want the staff to give us the information too. I know in the meeting minutes last time we discussed that some part of is the textbook we use for clean needle technique is a 2016. But my question, the students who graduated earlier from the schools, everyone, because everyone went through the clean needle technique training. So if they need certification, would the school just say they are competent, they did the clean needle training before the 2016? Is there anything with the 2016 required anyone graduated before, prior to 2016? And my question is clear?
I think so.
Okay.
If I may attempt an answer?
Yes.
So prior to, we referenced the 7th edition as it was back in 2016 when we adopted regulations on the curriculum to update the curriculum. That was the current version at that time. I believe it was 7th edition, even though it was 2016. We've had updates. It's still the 7th edition, but we've had updates as recent as, Mr. Hurt, do you recall? So it's definitely, it's likely in the 20s that they've been updated. Prior to the 2016, we were citing the 6th edition, and I think depending on how many changes we've made to that, we had previous editions that was current at the time the regulation was developed. So any students that were in a program prior to that would have been taking the previous edition of the clean needle technique.
So the question is, anyone graduated from accredited acupuncture school, and the school can issue a letter, say this graduate completed clean needle technique and passed whichever the requirement, so the school can issue a letter like that.
Correct. If the school would like to issue a certificate of completion for the clean needle technique, then they can do so. The requirement that we have in the curriculum is that they're using the text of the 7th edition specifically for that. So as long as the school is teaching from that text, then it is sufficient. When we approve curriculum, schools that offer their own clean needle technique will include that specific requirement in the syllabus of a specific course on needling, usually the introduction to needling course.
Thank you. Then what about the one like a tutorial program? They will just do the clean needle technique, the exam, whichever they can applied, correct?
Correct. They would have the option of either, if a school is willing to provide that instruction or that certification, since it is technically within a course in most situations, if the school is willing to provide that, that would be a pathway for them. However, in this case, most likely these students would be wanting to just take the course from CCOM directly, since it's just a limited number of hours as opposed to in a course.
Thank you. And Member Liang, any question on that with your nursing public health background?
This is Gregory Liang, a public member. From my experience with the public health, they recommend single-use needle. They do not want any reused needle, and the needles has to come from a credible manufacturers. So you have to have approved manufacturers, and you have to watch how they dispose of the used needle. And every time they open up a package, the package has to be discarded after use. After single use, you cannot reuse any remaining needles in the package.
Yeah, thank you, Member Liang. I totally agree. I think in our hospital it's very different. We even go further. We put in the single tubed. So single tube, the needle, instead of as a package needle. I know some other hospital facilities still have those packet needle. I 100% agree. Once you open up the package, you discard the unused needles. And a single use is absolutely the requirement, even in our book. I think where is the part, I know I read it,
That's correct.
regulation.
There may have been a time when, because I do recall at some point reading language about an autoclave, so there may have been a time when this practice was first introduced in California where that was allowed, but it has not been for some time now. It is single-use needles. We'll see if we can find the source of single-use needles in our regulations. I don't have it in front of me right now, so we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. And also in this, if anyone can access to the material, we specially put it there, law and regulations on the clean needle technique. In the statutes, we have a business and a professional code over there. There's very specific about the board means, and the person, and also acupuncturist means. The supervised acupuncturist, I want to point it out as acupuncture means the stimulation a certain point or a point on near the surface of the body by the insertion needles to prevent or modify the perception of a pain or to normalize psychological functions, including pain controlled for the treatment of certain disease of dysfunction of the body, and it includes the techniques of electroacupuncture, cupping, and moxibustion. I think this definition here, it's really important for the public to understand and know the minute you penetrate the skin, it's called acupuncture. You can change your names to many other names, but I do want to see, I was educated as a physician. I didn't know dry needling was touch, needles. We all thought is that there is no needle being used because of dry, the terms. So I just want to bring this back, because we do have a very good definition with acupuncture. On this part, I think we had the BPC, code here. So for the public to understand the certification on the clean needle technique, and there is a special laid in our laws and regulations. I know there's a request about the education, so I just, see public needed to know the minute you penetrate the skin. It's called acupuncture. It just sometimes you call different names, ash point, trigger point. So there is an old term, new terms, and dry needling. I use that practice all the time in the clinic. Patients actually get educated enough, they can tell the differences with where you do the dry needling, where you do the, acupuncture, use the little bit of old technique. But I want to bring this one in because we do have it laid out very clearly over here. Anyway, so back to the the clean needle technique here. I think I had my question answered. So as long as a school have any questions, because commonly come out, I think the students currently, if they try to working in certain areas, especially multidisciplinary wellness center is more incorporated to the mainstream. And this is one of the safety certificate many institutions and the center do required. Thank you. So this is one can be, I'm happy the school can provide the letter for the students.
Excellent. Yeah, I believe there was some question on this from some of the schools, so hopefully this was helpful in clarifying that. And as a simple point of order, Chairman Teki, you noted psychological. I just wanted, when discussing the definition, and this is physiological function, just so that the public is clear on that.
Thank you.
As well.
Thank you, Mr. Bodia. So now we shall open up to the public. Or?
Sure. If I may point out that Chairman Teki did show the Business and Professions Code, otherwise known as BPC. We do have included in the materials, as is now displaying, additional beyond these, the BPCs are the California Code of Regulations that address where clean needle technique fits into our regulations as well. And you'll see those on pages 2 and 3 highlighted in bold. And that is our highlight. That is not highlighted as or boldened as such in the regulations themselves, but for ease of access. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Liang? No? Okay, so shall we open up to the public? Let's open up to in person first. It's your chance to work with the board. Thank you.
My name is Neil Miller, representing Cal APMA. The clean needle technique, we brought this up and we were discussing it and asked for it to be on the agenda. And I talked about the NCCOM, like if you took your NCCOM a long time ago, like me, it was 87, to keep up, you have to renew your clean needle technique. And since I've been in practice here, almost 40 years, and I haven't renewed it. And maybe I'm sure that there are new safety protocols and new other things. And so it did say discussion and action. So the action, I would think, I would like to go forward and perhaps come up with, you have to take a clean needle technique every 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. There should be some time when you need to take a class just in that. And I just got the new clean needle technique book that's put out. And there's a lot of new material. And I, who have experience, think it's really important that we put something out there that's more official that would better help protect the public. And I don't think it would be a real burden that you just have to do CEs. And this is just one of those courses that you could take. And I think it would really be a good deal, because there are people out there doing things, and it might have been a technique that you did before, and maybe it's not such a clean needle technique now. But the discussion went off of that a little bit. And so, Dr. Mataki, you mentioned exactly what the statute says, And I've been asking this question for quite a while, and I still don't understand what on or near the body means. Like, how do you needle on instead of in or near the body? And I actually had somebody making a joke about it, and I took it serious. They said it's psychic needling. People who are afraid of needles, you focus your qigong and you needle them near the body. And I go, that's not needling, this is qigong. So I just wanted to point out that when anybody says on or near the surface of the body, I go, what the heck does that mean? And you brought up the dry needling. It wasn't on the clean needle, but just for clarification, dry needling was a term that was adopted by a woman named Janet Travell and David Simmons in the 1940s.
30 seconds.
And they were using hypodermic needles with like lidocaine or some other substance. And then they realized that they didn't have to use the substance, that it wasn't the hypodermic needle or what they were injecting, but that the needle itself worked. And that's when they started looking at acupuncture. But that's where the term dry needling actually came to. It was not using a hypodermic needle. And about 14 years ago, when An York Lee was the chair of the board, we heard about the physical therapist who wanted to do it. And that's when it came up again to our profession about 14 years ago for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a point of clarification just to underline Member Leong's position on single-use needles, at least outside of acupuncture, as well as affirm acupuncture's position. If you take a look at the materials that we have for this discussion item, the last California Code of Regulations, 1399.454, is specifically about single-use needles. If staff would kindly turn to the end of the document just to highlight this, I'll go ahead and read it. I'll wait for it to scroll up. Thank you kindly, Mrs. Choa. A little bit more. The very last one. Let's see. I'm seeing, if you can scroll down, I'm seeing California Code of Regulations a little bit below that. That's 416, 425. Page 9 of the material. Sorry to our viewers. We're going to have a lot of text scrolling. There we go. That was it right there. Perfect. Thank you. An acupuncturist shall use needles labeled for single use only that meet the requirements of the federal regulations 21 CFR Part 880.5580. Please take a look at those dates. It shall constitute unprofessional conduct for an acupuncturist to use a needle more than once. So this is clear and in our regulations. I believe, Chairman Teki, you also noted that it is convenient for acupuncturists to buy bulk, of course. Bulk is always better, usually when you're looking at cost savings. However, you do run the risk as an acupuncturist of no longer having clean needles if you open a package and you have 2 remaining or whatnot. What Chairman Teki was pointing out is that you cannot use those needles again on somebody else once you've opened that package. Thank you.
Thank you.
One quick additional comment, so I wanted to hear if anybody else, and then maybe get another 30 seconds.
Go ahead, because I do wanted to discuss what you just said.
Autoclaves. When I went to school, we all had our own, and I had to buy an autoclave. Still have my autoclave. Still have my autoclave. Almost all of the tools that we use are single-use disposable, but not all of the tools are needles, and some of them aren't. Like I have a scalpel or some other things. So I think that something should be mentioned, that it's not just needles. There are other tools that we use that are not single use. And if it has come in contact with anything else, that it needs to be sterilized in a proper manner. Cupping that gets a little blood on it is a fine example of something that we really don't address. We don't use single use cups. They go and they wash it, but there's a technique that you need to do that's in the clean needle technique about the sterilization of the cups and stuff like that. So I wanted to add to that and to bring it up. Like if you're using a scalpel that's not disposable and it's, $35 scalpel, you're not going to just throw them away. So they go in the autoclave. But I just wanted to mention for the record that there are things that we use that aren't single use, not just needles, that may come in contact with blood or something else. And you need to take the same extraordinary precautions.
Yeah, but I believe that's in the clinical technique, right? Being mentioned about the autoclave with the cupping, the disinfection process.
Mr. Miller, I believe you just said that there are some guidance, so we have confirmation. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
First edition. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just to let you know, one of the reasons I said I want to make a comment on how we do in the hospital, definitely not, every 2 years we need to renew our hospital privilege. And also we have the requirement on the safety technique, disinfection, all kind of the rules regulation is in our manuals and we read. And also there's a button there, like you push means you read everything and then you agree. So you have to sign that. So what I'm trying to say as a profession, what you guys want to do the CE course, however you guys want to do is always beneficial. I highly encourage the stakeholder and also the associations you guys definitely would like to put in your CE course. But also I just want to let you know publicly we, decrease the burden, it's like, and then also this is the menu. We click, we can go back to referral and also to review it. I think is very important. But that's how we do in the hospital every 2 years, to renew our hospital privilege. We must get updated. You have to read and there's a question you have to answer. And then we said, yes, we agree and we done the work.
Every 2 years, in my opinion, and just representing me, might be a little, might be too much. But looking at a more recent, like it was 4 years or between the 4 to 6 years that you have to do it. So you have 2 cycles of renewing and then that third cycle, and then you can have everybody has to do it. But it's a standard and I think it's a really good approach. And I thank you for sharing what you do.
Yeah, the board always want to hear what the public wanted and what the stakeholder wanted. I think, this is a good topic, but I just want to share for us, we read, there's no special requirement to take the class once you had your certification. And then, you need to update it periodically. Thank you. Okay.
Another point of clarification, just to maybe shed a little light on the definition on or near the surface. You can go below the surface. So I believe this is the legislature affording acupuncturists the ability to pierce the skin. This is what the function of the needle. So near the surface would be not all the way in, but it can go in. Doesn't make sense to me. Certainly not for the public. Thank you. And we would love to hear from the perhaps unified profession on updates to they feel would be necessary to their scope. Right now, we are working with this understanding. So updates are welcome. We know that it's been some time. We will be celebrating 50 years of the legalization of acupuncture this year, right? So I think it's time and the board welcomes the profession stepping forward and providing updates to their practice.
Yeah, I want to echo Mr. Boudia said, just from early the beginning, there is so many comments on the definition language. I definitely want to welcome the stakeholders, work with the public. And if you want help the board to redefine the acupuncture, it's very interesting when you pointed out, I was read it early. So I was look at it, maybe this is the legal part 50 years ago decided to, form the definition. Definitely I would say, welcome you guys, help the board, and then, work with the legislature if you want to redefine, many of the time with the medical terms, we change all the time, the old procedures, the names, and now we change, so I think it's about a time after 50 years, so we need to go to the modern stage. Very good. So Member Liang, with the definition of the acupuncture, I think this is a very hot topic, and I like to see it move from 50 years to current stage, you know. So maybe we can have a staff work with the public stakeholders, send it out, some kind of survey, what they want, like we did with, you know, titles. What do you think?
It sounds very good to me that we send out a survey to ask all the practitioners to submit their opinions and their inputs so we can put together something that will be more appropriate and up to date.
Yeah. I just want to remind, I don't want 11,000, how many active licensees? I don't want 11,000 a definition, please, okay? So sometimes I open the jar, you know, so I need to make sure we get like a 1 or 2 so board can work on. So I want to put it back there. No 11,000 a definition, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Teki. Yeah, this is definitely something that came up at the last meeting where we were discussing scope and whose role is it to address these items. We can listen to suggestions. Again, as Chairman Teki said, we don't want 11,000 suggestions, or we will welcome 11,000 suggestions. However, that's going to take a lot of time to go through, and that doesn't sound like there's consensus if there's 11,000 different opinions on what the definition should be. So we urge the profession to organize and come together with a proposition to the board. That's a lot easier for the board to be like, this seems reasonable. It sounds like you're perhaps addressing all the concerns, and the board would have no problem with supporting a bill that would allow for the update to your scope definitions, practice definitions, and whatnot.
I would also just whatever. I would also just like to remind everyone that the board itself works according to statutes set by the legislature. The board does not set statutes. The profession is also welcome to go talk directly to the legislature and doesn't always need to reach out to the board to get approval or input. The profession views that as important.
Come to the front, please.
I'm just reminding the members of the public and the board that we function according to statutes set by the legislature. The public is also welcome to directly go speak to the legislature and clarify that they do not need to necessarily gain our input on any issues. It's your, constitutional rights.
Thank you for clarifying the way that you said it. As I mentioned previous, the board is under review from Sunset Review, and for many years we just wait until they come and so yes, we can go to the legislature, but you have to talk to the legislature too. And if we have these meetings for the past 2 years and the public brings all these things to your attention, you're not advocating for statute, you're not making laws, but it would be smart to tell the legislature, this seems to be what's going on. These are the trends that are going on, and we keep hearing about all this dry needling, and they're going to argue it on a legislative level, but we thought you ought to hear what the public and the profession is bringing to the board and to give some sort of summary so that they have some guidelines, just some input from you, as opposed to you're behind the 8 ball. You're late to the party unless you show up early and kind of plan ahead. We're going to have another Sunset Review. We didn't cover everything in the last Sunset Review that we wanted to, that you wanted to, that the profession wanted to. So we can reiterate that and bring up other things. And I would lean on the fact that these are things that the Little Hoover Commission recommended that you, the board, and the legislature get together and make these changes. So we're now waiting almost 30 years for the recommendation of the Little Hoover. So it's not that outrageous for the board to say, we've been addressing this. This board, our board, under Ben's leadership as the executive officer, has tackled this. And this is what we're coming up with. And that would serve everybody. It would serve the legislature, serve the public, and serve the profession.
Thank you. I wanted to see the board is here. As I'm opened up already, you're welcome to bring your final definition over here. Board can certainly work with the public and the stakeholder. But as legal has mentioned, board is limited to what we can do. I would say you waited 50 years, so right now you want to wait another few more years for sunset, or you can do it, sooner. So this is how, I'm just want to bring that up.
Make yourself a note, go to the other professions and say, this is coming up on or near the bottom, and see if we can come up with something. And it's not every acupuncturist, not 11,000, but you hope that they belong to a thing, and then to put it out publicly that the professions agreed to something like this, and then bring it to you and say, the profession came to us and said, the definition in law doesn't make sense, doesn't work. And they came to us with a united recommendation. And so I've already put it out there, and I'll be putting it out, let you know that I'm going to take that step.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else in the audience here? Don't be shy. It's your opportunity to work with us. Because in the full board, I'm not going to be open like that. So shall we open up to the WebEx? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Member Liang? Thank you so much. Oh, please come to the table.
One more comment in person.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is the moderator. As a matter of housekeeping, I've expanded time to 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you.
On the side, there's a little panel.
Great. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. I don't know if anyone, hi. A local LAC.
Can you start over with the name?
Hi, my name's Julie Rose, and I am a local LAC. I live in Cupertino. Currently, I'm just doing house calls, so it's a more flexible schedule for me. I'm just wondering if anyone has brought up dry needling being done by other professions that don't have acupuncture training. Because we do dry needling and everything else.
Yeah, as a point of clarification, we did discuss this at the last licensing committee meeting in March. The webcast is available on YouTube. Just look for Acupuncture Board March 6th board meeting, committee meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And it has been discussed on multiple other occasions as well. I've attended a physical therapy board meeting to discuss the law as it is written, as it is applicable in California. The Physical Therapy Board is well aware of that. The Physical Therapy Board even attended our board meeting back in 2017, I believe, to confirm that is their understanding as well. Someone else mentioned that I believe it was a public comment of an advisory that needling is needling. This is the law. However, there's nothing stopping acupuncture associations reaching out to the associations of other healing arts practitioners and forming relations such that they're aware that this is the law, as a reminder on top of what the law already is. Part of a interdisciplinary professional relationship, perhaps.
I think we're moving online, but I just want to clarify for the members of the public attending on WebEx. I've seen a few comments pop up in the WebEx chat function. Just want to make sure that everyone online is aware that the board does not see those comments. If you want to make a comment, please follow staff's directions.
Thank you. So let's open up to the WebEx, David, please.
All right, we are open for public comment via WebEx. And as just stated, if you've made a comment in chat, now is the time to raise your hand. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3. And a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. Our first WebEx comment is coming from Farshid Namen, hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. And please help me with the enunciation of your name.
Hello, my name is Farshid Namin. I graduated from medical school in 1996 Iran. I have a doctorate in acupuncture and teaching in acupuncture schools. So what I want to mention about the current version of the clinical technique manual, which I shared with Council of Colleges. So what we see, unfortunately, and I'm teaching basically this manual for the student, and what I have seen for the years that basically the materials and the references are very outdated. This is causing that confusing the practitioners and also even the public who refer to this needs more information probably goes to this material. So there are lots of issues with the CNT manual, which is provided for the Council of Colleges, including talking about the risk, about the disinfecting procedure, and also vet cupping. And also there are much more of the microorganisms they did never talk. And we, as an acupuncturist, deal with them. And this is very important, both for the health of acupuncturists and also for the patients. So there are lots of I can list. I will be happy to share with you. And also I informed the CCOM. Also, I will be happy to share all these shortages of the CNT manual. But what we understand that CNT manual is designed at a national level. I think that, because of what some probably educational deficiencies which we have for the previous acupuncturists who graduated and licensed for a long period of time, maybe we need to develop a new version of this. And I'm sure that California schools are doing much better than what we have as a minimum standard in CNT manual. So I think that that 3 hours of the safety ethics for the continuing education course is a very good opportunity for us to providing a standard and updated training for the clinical technique can help the basically public and also practitioners. But what I see that kind of Council of Colleges would not like to do much more modification on this, which is disappointing, and I shared with you. So what I would suggest that basically schools, board, and also associations in California work together and providing, the better version of the CNT to help the public and the practitioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from, hold on just a moment, please. Next, we're going to hear from Virginia. This is potentially our last online comment. Again, for people who have made comments in chat, now is the time to raise your hand. Virginia, we're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. All right, let's try again. Virginia, we're sending you a second request to unmute your microphone.
Oh,
All right.
now I can unmute. Hi. I have a question in regards to what you said earlier about the definition of acupuncture. My question is more along the lines of, do we have any provisions as to what is, like who is allowed to perform the acupuncture, for example, with AI being super advanced and it's coming our way for sure. And I was wondering for the California Acupuncture Board, do you guys have any laws yet or any regulations as to normal people, like lay people, being able to access these machines and doing it themselves. Because right now, cupping, gua sha, all of these things, you can buy these tools online. It's not a medical device. It's not really regulated, but it is technically a medical device, and it can create a lot of harm when it's not done properly. And I'm sure that it will be very soon that we'll have acupuncture devices, and it would be really hard for our profession. And it's kind of like dry needling, except instead of physical therapists, it will now be just regular lay people saying, "Oh, I bought Moxa on Amazon, and now I'm buying, acupuncture machine." So that's my question.
I'm not sure I can address the question so much, but I can clarify that there are exemptions to who can practice acupuncture in Business and Professions Code 4947, the practice of acupuncture, semicolon, dentist or podiatrist, which also includes medical doctor. So dentists, podiatrists, and medical doctors can needle under their own scope of practice, in addition to acupuncturists. I believe veterinary medical doctors can do so provided they are following the Veterinary Medical Board's provisions for the practice of acupuncture, because that's not explicitly a part of their training.
Thank you. And is it possible that one day in a future meeting, we could make a regulation saying that any such medical device must be operated by the same acupuncturist, podiatrist, dentist, and the other people that we mentioned? Because, the robots are going to come out of China, I'm sure. Japan, Korea, and so many other countries are going to be in a race to do it. And I would say that ear acupuncture probably is a pretty good likelihood that they'll have a robot that does it. Because if you guys even look at the nail salon, it used to be that you have to have like decades of training to do these fancy designs on each nail. And now they literally 3D map the area, and the AI knows exactly how to put on the manicure and all these other things. There's so many things that used to take decades of work and training to get there, and now robots are doing it, and it doesn't require really any person to operate it. And it would be nice and preventative if we can be ahead of that, so that any technology must be operated by us, and it ensures safety and also our profession as well.
Thank you for made the comment. I think get a lot, at least they get me to think a lot too, is how do we work in the hospital? Because I know there's a lot surgery has been done. We have the Da Vinci technology, all the stuff. So like this open discussion, and appreciate your input. As definitely 50 years need to move to the modern days. Thank you. Anyone else? David, thank you.
Yes, next we're going to hear from Dita Garabagi. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, am I on?
You are on. Go ahead, please.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I would like to circle back on the CNT and especially in its training. And I would like to inform you guys that there are actually approved acupuncture schools here in California who are teaching these CNT classes to the students. However, the CNT principles are not being practiced in their clinics. I have seen clinics where hand washing is not done before or after patients, or in between patients. Alcohol is not being appropriately used, when at all. I have seen acupuncture being done without disinfecting the skin. There are really bad situations out there going on, and they have been chronic. And I would like the board to be informed of that, and I would like that to be addressed to protect the public and also to protect the profession. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was our last request via WebEx.
A point of order, David, real quick, just to clarify for the public comment. please submit a complaint. If that is the case, we do have so the approval process for a training program in acupuncture requires 3 different approvals. There's the board approving the curriculum of the school. There is the state's Business Bureau of Private and Post-Secondary Education that approves the institution, and then there's the accreditor, in this case, ACAHM or ACOM. And so it would also be incumbent upon ACOM and perhaps even CCOM to do this. The board does not have site visit authority anymore. That was revoked in 2016. The board can go into a school clinic to investigate a complaint. So if you or other public members are seeing this happening, by all means, you may submit a complaint and we then may begin an investigation. At the same time, I think this is a great call to our partners, both in the approval process and in the profession, to take a look at this as well. So there is recourse available to the public that sees this by communicating directly with ACOM or the Council of Colleges, who establishes the clean needle technique. Is there a process for reinforcing that? I understand that with the accreditor, there's a revisit process every 7 years or so. So it's something that, it should be brought up, and I'm assuming is looked at when they do the clinic inspection. So the board did have an opportunity to work with ACOM on a couple site visits, and we did see them evaluate both courses and clinic. So it is also within their purview in the accreditation process, and that sounds like it could be a challenge both for CCOM and ACOM, as well as the board. So yes, please submit a complaint in terms of what the board can do. Please address this item with your or the profession's institutions outside of government as well. Thank you.
I just want to have a question, is that the submissions can be anonymous, right? This is.
They can. Again, this came up earlier where in the notion of the fraud, if we don't have a specific evidence to point to, so let's say we just received the information that this student was not guided by their supervisor to swab the skin before needling. Well, then what we do is we call that place is, are you doing this? No. Okay, well, that's the next thing we do is we have to arrange for an investigation to try to do that. If we have no evidence, it costs the board a lot of money to send sworn officers to a place to investigate whether or not they're doing that and to observe what's going on there. So that's definitely possible with the complaint. If there is sufficient or substantive evidence, then that is possible to investigate. As anonymous, it's a bit more challenging. It needs to rise to a certain level of action, to be actionable, excuse me.
Thank you for the clarification. One other question, because I do have, public ask that question, but I think it is important. This is your profession, or this is someone dear to your heart. You want to protect the public. And sometimes you do want to take a stand and work with the board. And we, because our priority is to make sure, yes, I totally hear what you're saying. You can pass the exam and you can learn all the information, but clinically practice, it is very important. And this is put on the supervisor. When you train the students, develop a habit, for physician, we have the 3 years of training. The first year, we do go in detail. And I remember as an intern, the most uncomfortable moment is I interview patients. I have an attending physician sitting in the room, and she will tell me, pretend she's not there, but you definitely know she's there. She will document everything you do and watch it. At the time when you were intern, you're very nervous, the beginning of your practice. You're attending, the back of your eye is there, you're attending, you watch every word you say. Very uncomfortable, but it's so fortunate we have this attending. is a brilliant mind, you know. So when I finish an interview, did all the exam, everything with the patients, we step out the room, she will give us the review, or she individually gave me the review from the beginning, the past 15 minutes, how I did, how I talked to the patients, the way, professional ways. I have to say at the time how uncomfortable I was, but later on in my independent practice, I remember this attending physician forever, because she critiqued and helped me to adjust, you know, those, just like the question I do, just a small, sometimes, you know, when you sit in the rooms waiting for the patients, and it's just, you know, some kind the language you use, it just put them on ease. So I just wanted to bring this up because board is limited. We can't go in to do site visit. So there's a lot on the school side, and also the other entities, you know, like ACOM or CCOM, would like to, you know, help the faculties to really train your students. You know, there is no negative feedback. But many of the time we think about feedback, we think about negative, you know, which is not. I wish I get more feedback when in my training. Many of the days, you know, come out over 20 years later, we still good friend with my attending physician. And every time I see her, I let her know what she has done to our practice. And I wasn't the only intern feel that way. So just, you know, when you're in the school, the students, I know there's a lot of younger generation participated. It's a very exciting time, but also, you know, we want to keep the certain rigorous, you know, protection, because once you develop the habit, hard to change. So, but it's very easy to pick up a bad habit. So this is even for myself, you know, but I definitely echoed the previous, you know, public member mentioned. Appreciate the stakeholder and the public work with the board. Let get this kind of, you know, not just a theory, but into practice. Would really welcome maybe board, you know, can work with the schools, ACOM, CCOM, you know, together to help the faculty and the school work on this.
Indeed, and as in addition to that clarification, you know, the industry of acupuncture isn't just set up necessarily just like the medical profession as established in the United States. Dr. Mateki, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an association, I believe, by the name of JACO that goes in and actually evaluates a hospital, and those standards are above and beyond the law. Those standards are put in by the profession and for hospitals to work. So there's no obstacle to the acupuncture profession establishing its own associations that are establishing standards to do this. If it wants an independent third-party association to do just clinic visits or just school clinic visits, that's possible. We are seeing acupuncture being included in hospital services, so that is going to start being accounted there as well, but not most acupuncture practice isn't happening at the hospital. So we're seeing it either at large clinics like in schools or free clinics, or in private practice. So there's opportunities there for the profession to set its standards.
Thank you, Mr. Baudia. Maybe legal can say, I hope this is you know, I just want to mention, actually our hospital just had a joint commission visit last week. And so legal's okay, I share or no?
This is your
Yeah, so that's why I want to ask you permission. But it is, the acupuncture has been, you know, integrated to the mainstream hospital. I think it's very important. We keep that in mind, you know, clean needle technique. If we need updated, so association, public stakeholders work together and update the menu.
And one more to just follow up on that exactly, that right now the board is referencing the Council of Colleges 7th edition clean needle technique. Again, if the Coalition of Acupuncturists in California or the American Society of Acupuncturists, that's the association at the national level, decide to establish their own manual, there is nothing preventing that from being considered as also a guidance in that. And maybe the profession would be more supportive or less supportive. And again, we would rely on the profession to let us know what their standards are for what is clean needle technique.
David, do we have anyone wait online?
There are no people on WebEx waiting to speak.
Okay, thank you. We good? Mr. Miller? So we have someone in person would like to make the comment. Thank you.
Dr. Miller.
You have to follow that with OMD, because they can't just say I'm a doctor. And I don't know how well the OMD plays out. There are only a couple hundred of us that have an OMD. But Mr. Bodea mentioned that, and I just need some clarification. You're open, or the board would be open to someone making another presentation to say, hey, we have a clean needle technique and we'd like to use this one here in California. Like Dr. Farshid talked on the phone, and Dr. Farshid clearly understands what he's talking about, and I know that talking to him that he's talked about this for a while. So if Dr. Farshid came up with a new clean needle technique and said, hey, we'd like to use this instead of ACOM, it's better. Or in addition to that, do we just bring that to the board, or do we have to go through ACOM? In other words, you guys go through ACOM and things are approved through ACOM, but could the clean needle technique be approved through the board, and through the California's acupuncture board? I just wanted some clarification. Is that the direction that we could possibly go in?
I believe there's a process there in terms of vetting the document. Like, we're not just going to take a random manual that pops up, no offense to Dr. Farshid, without it being endorsed by the profession.
Got it.
Right? So if there's no support, then there's no reason for the board to turn to it. But if there is a competing, competent, supported manual, then it can be included as an additional reference or the new reference, or yeah.
Yeah, so like if Dr. Farshid came to CalAtma, like if Farshid came to CalAtma and said, hey, I've written this out with references and it's much better, and we looked at it and we said, hey, this is great, and we went over to CSOMA and they agreed, and we had a couple of associations and said, hey, CalAtma's member Farshid wrote this out and we think it's better, or at least competitive, and we'd like to have you take a look at it. That would be the process, roughly.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that that's what you said, and that was a path that we could pursue.
Yes, and it would be a regulatory change at that point. And keep in mind that being that it's a regulatory change, it's California only, so there wouldn't be a requirement that any other jurisdictions adhere to it either. But it would be a California requirement that could be incorporated.
Right. I just didn't want to know. I wanted to know that we didn't have to lean on the other people. We could do it ourselves and even do a better job, perhaps. Thanks.
So actually, just to clarify legal counsel's question, 4927, Business and Professions Code 4927, F4B. So the legislature specifically calls out, and we'll wait for the code there. Thank you. The very beginning of the document, this is page 2, about 3 paragraphs down.
Two.
Scroll up to the page 2. Yeah, thank you.
Page 2 top.
Very top of it. One more. Right there. Thank you. So there, capital B, holds a certificate in clean needle technique issued by the Council of Colleges of Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine or its successor entity, or has completed an approved educational and training program's clean needle technique course using the council. So here it's clearly stated by the legislature, it has to be used here. So clarification, it's not a regulatory pathway. It's a statutory pathway. Now, the board would be able to hear the profession's suggestion of using this and then say that it might have its blessing if it determines in its capacity to do so. And then the profession would be able to take this to the legislature for a possible inclusion in a bill. The board could also take it directly. Or the profession could take it directly to the legislature. Obviously, we love collaborating, right? We would, and perhaps having the ability for the board to say we have no issue might be helpful to the author so that they're not going to find all of a sudden challenges to their bill. Yeah.
Ben, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
That section is in regards to an acupuncture assistant and not our licensees.
May I suggest, it sounds like there might be some, if this is a way to go forward, it sounds like we would need to probably look at the laws, the regulations to fully flesh out where things are going to be done and who has authority here.
Should a manual be provided for the board to consider?
I didn't know.
Right. So if the profession wants to go ahead and do that work, then, and it's ready to provide something for the board to consider, then we would be able to look at a pathway, appropriate pathway to clearly define this is the board's role, this isn't the board's role.
And the profession may want to reach out to their own attorneys to see what's the best pathway forward for achieving their own goals.
I would like to underscore that the profession may want to reach out to their own attorneys to have work on this.
Thank you, Mr. Boudier. Looks like we need to have a break now.
Do you want to wrap up the comment or?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So,
Madam
let's,
Chair?
yes, you have
We do
online?
have a new hand online.
Yes, please.
All right. We're calling on Farshid Namin.
Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, yeah, thank you so much for all your comment. I think that because in California, what I learned that we have higher standards for all aspects of our training, including didactic and also clinical. So I think that California Acupuncture Board, for benefit of the public, so maybe need to design a better, higher standard for the clean needle technique, which is possible, very possible, by the help of the associations and the schools. So there are lots of resources available. I know that in different schools and also associations, and this is maybe we need to have a room for this. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was our only request online at the moment.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone, the public, and also stakeholder for participate the discussion on the clean needle technique, and it is really important. We welcome to continue discuss and bring the ideas to the board. I look at it, we still have a few items here. The number 6, the next one looks like there is a lot item. So it's noon time. So how about we take a break for lunch? Would it right now exactly 12 o'clock? Should we meet here 1 o'clock exact? Good afternoon. Welcome back. Mr. David?
Ready when you are.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Should we call the order?
Roll call. We're going to start with Dr. Mateki.
Here.
And Member Leon.
Gregory's here.
Quorum. There we go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now everybody, I hope you're waking up after the full belly. And I want to save the agenda item number 6, because there's a lot of information on these items, especially the first two. So let's just say the item 6 is discussion and the possible actions on stakeholders identified changes to the acupuncture curriculum requirements. And this is included doctor degree, degree titles, prerequisite, science requirements, clinical hours, internship, externship, establish English proficiency requirement for foreign trained and tutorial students not taking the Cali in English. And the last items here is a necessity of a graduation requirement to qualify for Cali. So remember now we will have a busy afternoon to work on this items, and also public member, we really want you to help work with the board. There's a lot items here. But the first, the A and B, the doctorate degree and the degree titles, maybe I think there's some similarities here. Shall we just combine together to discuss this? That be okay?
Yes.
Thank you. You want to start or you want me to start? How you like?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I think from early, we hear a lot from the public. And also, I think this is for years, is deep to my heart too, is there is a lot titles here, especially the acupuncturist education, many hours into it, but it's very confused to the public. Very common from physician side and also from a patient's side. I get questions all the time. They ask me, what does this, abbreviation means? And I appreciated, ACOM, CCOM, previous board meeting coming in to present, did a presentation. I think the board has been working with them very closely for the last few years, from what I understand. We try to get this solved as much as we can. We may not, but I really think, we wanted to at least get to the point, not too much confusion. So how do I want to address that? We can open up to the public this time and let them work with the board, and then we can, share the discussions.
Sounds good to me.
Good to you? Okay, let's open up to the public in the room.
Dr. Mataki, I would love to hear your opinion, since you were so instrumental in getting this on here, to kind of open it up. And you have a very unique perspective, and I think it's a good foundation with which we could start and build upon that. I have a lot of respect for your opinion on these subjects, and I'd like to hear yours to see where we can go from there.
I really appreciate it. I just want to let you know all those agenda, items here is from all of you guys, and I work with the board. So I appreciate your comment, but I still want to open up to the public. Of course, I appreciate it. I do have a certain opinion, but it's a different background. I want to give the chance for the public, stakeholders come forward to work with us. Please.
Yeah, Philip Young, president of California University, Silicon Valley. As earlier, I mentioned about the same topic. This is really something we care about because our school just get a ACOM approval for doctoral program. So we're going to start a doctoral program this fall. And this is really very important for our profession. To compare with other professions and chiropractor, PT, their requirement is all the doctor's degree, and to say nothing about the dental and another professions. So acupuncture really cannot leave behind. We have to catch up for this, not only just title, but title also very important, really means something. I've been practicing for over 20 years, but what do you do? LAC. That's you're a doctor. But this is quite different. I used to work to have Stanford have a communication with the postdoctors. So what do you do? Acupuncture. Oh, acupuncturist. Then she didn't think I'm the doctor. You're just acupuncturist. So in my mind, I don't feel so strong, so confident enough to say I'm doctor. So once our profession reached to that doctor level, everyone's a doctor, so they cannot have different visions to see our profession. They say, oh yeah, you're all doctors, different doctors. So we need a doctor title. We need a doctor, really doctor's training. Also, we need to do the authentic training, not only just hours, but also the design of the courses. Like our course we design, we focus on the brain diseases and brain sciences. So we do require the science requirement, like the neuroscience of the brain. We have the basic anatomy and physiology, but that's not enough. We have the neuroscience, neurotransmission, and the neural physiology about the brain, and also what's the connection with difficult diseases and chronic diseases, including migraines and Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and so on. And also we use the brainwave detector to get the like EKG. So once we do this study and teaching and train our students so that they can be specialized in the healing, the treatment for the brain diseases, many things will be much more confident. As I said, hey, we get well trained in the brain diseases and this field. So clinical hours are very important. Internship are very important, and of course, English proficiency is very important. Right now we have like 60 hours.
Mr. Young, if we can keep it to the degrees and the doctorate title for the moment, just items A and B, and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. We have our graduates and also our fellow professions. We all have the same opinion, and I believe our association will support this opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? This is your chance.
Neil Miller from Cal AMA. There's an evolution in the medicine and in the degrees and in the titles. Most people don't know and aren't old enough to remember that we were called CAC, Certified Acupuncturists. So San Francisco's Association AA, whatever they are, used to be CCA. So we went from CCA to LAC, and from LAC we've gone to 100 different directions. There was an offer for a title called an OMD, and we had to take a couple of years of extra school. It wasn't very organized, but it was done through 3 or 4 different schools, and there's probably around 300 or 400 of us who have an OMD. And then the MDs found out that we were using a title OMD, and they put a quell to that, but we could no longer they couldn't take that title away from us, those who have it. But who wants to call themselves an Oriental medical doctor, especially in today's world? So for me, a kid gets out of school today and Mr. Leong is looking for somebody, and he goes through the phone book and he sees LAC and he sees my name and he sees, somebody else, and it says doctor. Well, he doesn't know that I've been practicing 40 years and that guy got out of school a year ago. And I may have an OMD, but it doesn't mean anything. It's not. So there's a big gap in the public's perception, and certainly in the perception of other healthcare providers. What do you do? I'm acupuncture, Oriental medicine. I get a shrug. I say acupuncture and integrative medicine. They're interested because it matches what they do. The perception is I do acupuncture and the things that go along with that, herbs and other things, but that I'm working towards working with them in an integrative setting. I'm going to briefly read something, and I've handed this out to you and to members of the audience, and the board can make it available to anybody that wants to get a copy of it. But over the last 10 years, the fastest growing area of higher education is in doctorates in health profession. The number of annual graduates in this profession has gone from 40,000 to 80,000 in 2022. Pretty amazing that everybody else wants to be a doctor, and they're really advancing. You can see it everywhere. Despite this increasing demand for graduates and healthcare professionals, many of our school programs are closing. Some of the best programs are closing for entry level into the profession and our entry level into the profession is rapidly decreasing. We must acknowledge the direct responsibility for confusing the rate of programs that are out there, causing confusion within the potential practitioner or student or other schools or other healthcare providers. There's just a big conglomerate out there, and different schools are competing for the title. We have this title, you have that title, and we have now 12 different variations, at least 12 different variations of different titles. And further complicating, the doctorate consists of 3 different tracks. There's a professional entry level, which some of the places are going to. There's a postmaster's completion, where you got a master's degree and now you take a postmaster's completion. Well, I've been practicing 40 years. I don't have a master's. My thing says proficient in Oriental medicine. That's what my graduate degree is. So we have a long way to go from there to where we are now. I personally and the people in our association have talked, and we like the title Doctor of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine, DAIM. And I was just informed something at lunchtime, a little bit more about that and why it hasn't been used, but there's still quite a possibility, and I still think that that's the best name. I happen to use it. I say I'm a licensed acupuncturist, but I practice acupuncture and integrative medicine, and that's my elevator pitch. But the other healthcare providers are curious and interested. I try not to go over, and it makes sense. And I think that I don't know how to move the profession forward. It's that the profession itself doesn't have a lot of input. The input is mostly from the schools, the accreditation, and the Council of Colleges. So the profession has been asking for a doctoral degree for over 30 years. And so now we're talking about another 10 years till we get this ironed out. And here in California, our practitioners, especially in the Asian community, that's why we ended up at the Little Hoover Commission, is because we couldn't address this issue. So I think my paper is pretty self-explanatory. There are 3 papers here that address several of the issues here, but it's laid out in a way that it will make sense for anybody to read it. So Dr. Mataki, I hope you can read it, and the members of this subcommittee, and can then present it to the full board. So the full board will have some idea of what I've handed out and what was discussed today, and they can make a more informed decision on the issue. It's very complex, but hopefully my paper will make a complex situation more easily understood and simplify it a bit. Not oversimplify it, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Hoffman again from Yosan University. As a vice chair of ACOM, I can't say that I represent ACOM here at this meeting. I'm here as a president of Yosan University, but again, I've been involved in the conversation of the doctoral degree titles and the degree titles as a member of ACOM. There are actually, I think it might even be 14 doctoral degree titles right now. ACOM moved to solidify and come up with a singular title a number of years ago, 4, maybe 5 years ago, because the master's programs were MA-TCM, MA-OM, MS-AOM, it was all over the place. And then when the entry-level doctoral program was accredited, they have the same problem. There was the Doctor of Acupuncture and Traditional Medicine, Doctor of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine, Doctor of Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, and every other kind of iteration that you could think of. So in 2018, 2019, ACOM moved to come up with singular titles, and those were the Master of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine, and the Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine, MAC-CHM and DAC-CHM. Now, some states allow for a practitioner to only study acupuncture. So ACOM had to make an allowance for an MAC and a DAC. The other issue is in the formal degree title, it's actually Doctor of Acupuncture with a specialization in Chinese herbal medicine. Some states took exception to the term specialization, so they had to remove that. So this, in the current state, is why we have so many different variations. ACOM proposes just those two, but every individual state can regulate what those titles look like. So that's why you end up with these varieties of titles. And then, of course, the DAOM has been trying to be renamed for about 5 or 6 years to remove the term Oriental from its name. And as yet, there's been no consensus. Every time Council reaches a CCOM consensus, it doesn't seem to go anywhere. ACOM proposes titles. Those don't reach any kind of consensus. We got really close last year with Doctor of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine. This was going to replace DAOM, but Council and public comment rejected that, so ACOM did not move further. Again, I can't speak to, as I'm here as an ACOM representative, but I'm not speaking for ACOM. I'm just trying to provide history for the public. Thank you.
Yeah, Philip from CUSV. I just make up for the title. In discussing about the title, there are many proposals. It seems like we preferred to see to say a DAOM something of something. I think just make it everything simple, like MD, just MD, OD. And that's in other professions. It's so simple, so straightforward. So similarly, I propose, I prefer AD or DA, Doctor of Acupuncture or Acupuncture Doctor, or DAH, Doctor of Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine. That's it. Don't need so many. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? No? So shall we open up? Yeah, let's open up to the WebEx, David.
All right. We are accepting public comment on this via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And for our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... in order to find your hand. Our first request is coming from Ron Zaidman. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Ron Zaidman from Five Branches University. So one clarification is titles come both from the degree and from the licensure body. So for example, MDs receive that title from their degrees. The degree that, the title that they receive if they're in California is physician and surgeon. Very different. Physician and surgeon is from the California AMA, and the title from the degree is MD. So as Dr. Hoffman was saying, the Accreditation Commission is simplifying our titles. They made a small mistake in the beginning, making it very complicated with the word specialization and so forth. But that was voted down. So now they have, Doctor of Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, or Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine, and hopefully they'll reduce it to one title only. So that'll be the title that we get from the degree, and then the Acupuncture Board will have its own challenge of finding a name for our licensure, just as the board, the medical board in California, calls MDs physicians and surgeons, but MDs don't use the California title. They use their degree title. So that is going to be the most important. And I'll add, it is true that it will put up the cost of education, that unlike China, our education is not paid by the state, nor is our board and meals. But all that aside, even though it's very difficult for our students to pay the tuition, we do have to go to a higher standard and make it at the doctoral level. There's, I believe, no doubt on that. And as for the title, it can be Doctor of Acupuncture and Internal Medicine, Doctor of Traditional Medicine. In case you don't know, the WHO uses the term traditional medicine for our medicine. It also includes Ayurvedic medicine, but they have the title traditional medicine, and all doctors, all over the world, use this ICD code for their medicine. And ICD-11 includes a chapter on traditional medicine. So the term, Doctor of Traditional Medicine, even though it's new, it's going to be exposed to 10 million doctors worldwide, because they all use the ICD code. There's 1 million doctors in the US. They'll see that term, traditional medicine. So moving forward, that's a second term we can consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to hear from Lin Yang. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good afternoon, Lin Yang. On behalf of AACMA, I wanted to appreciate the board's effort to listen to different voice on this very important subject. And on behalf of AACMA, we support raise our entry level education to doctoral degree. So we need an doctoral entry level education to uplift the profession improve the level of education and the skills level, and also improve the perception of the public, and as well as the perception of patients, because we are our degree is the lowest among the medical profession, and but our service has such a profound effect for very for broad category of conditions. So we needed to establish confidence, and in that will be reflected in our education and also the title of our a professional title in the future. So I think that although I perfectly understand the reservation about this, about raising the education level, but we can only move forward if we stay where we are. We'll be left behind, and our profession could facing extinction or die down in another 50 years. So that's our opinion. In terms of the title of the professional title, I like to stress that we are studying traditional Chinese medicine, which made of 4 major parts, or 4 major types of therapy. That's acupuncture, herbal therapy, dietary therapy, and Tuina therapy, which is the manual therapy. So if we only focused one, and down 20 years or 30 years down in the road, the other other groups will come claim the other part. Let's say that I already see the attempt or desire to chip away herbal medicine, chip it away, because our title is licensed acupuncture, not licensed traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. So I think that we need to have a title that correctly reflect the practice scope. So maybe, something like a doctor of Chinese medicine, because traditional medicine is so broad. We cannot, we don't practice other types of traditional medicine. We only practice traditional Chinese medicine. So our title should correctly reflect that. And it will help the public understand what we practice. If everyone calls themselves like doctor of traditional medicine, but we practice Chinese medicine, other people practice Ayurveda, and then another person practice Mongolian medicine, Tibetan medicine. So it will be very confusing. So that's my point of view, or our stand on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Farshid Namin. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, I'm Farshid Namin. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really thinking, like other speakers talked about this, that we need to talk more about the degree title and not concluding only in one session. We need to talk more. We need to talk to the schools. We need to talk to all the stakeholders again and again. And I will really appreciate if the board keep this agenda on the board agenda on the next meetings, also to make a good conclusion. This is really confusing for the patient and the public, the degrees. I did a research in 2018 in my capstone. We have 13 different degree titles in California from the acupuncture schools. So now ACOM offers probably 4 to 5, probably, if I correctly remember. So the titles, this is still like this DACCHM, MACCHM, this is look like funny for other profession, and this is not absolutely good, which is developed by the ACOM. ACOM should do better. So if we see other profession, like doctor of chiropractor, all of them is DC. If we see that physician assistant, I'm sorry, physical therapists, they are all DPT, so all the medical doctors are MD. So, but when we come to the acupuncture profession, we have very variety of huge, diverse degrees, which is basically, it is confusing the patients, and it is really needs that the board step in, even if the ACOM has basically has some restrictions, because ACOM should deal with the other states. I think the California state with the higher standards needs to step in, defining that this is, for example, and have a deadline for all the stakeholders. We want to move toward this. This is our standard for like 2 years. All the schools, all the professions should moving towards this. I think that maybe probably you cannot conclude this discussion in one session. I would really appreciate if the board continue this agenda for the next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Chad Wong. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Chad Huang. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and in June I'll be finishing my doctorate degree. So I'll be getting the Doctor of Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine doctorate degree. So I have heard a lot of good comments, so I'm not gonna repeat them. I do want to briefly talk about from the patient perspective, because in California, we're primary care physicians. So a lot of patients want to call us doctors. Without the doctorate degree, they cannot call us doctors. So, from the patient perspective, to build more trust among us and to level up the playing field with medical doctors and other chiropractors. So I think we really need this entry-level doctorate degree to elevate our profession. Thank you.
Thank you. And those are all of our requests via WebEx.
Thank you, David.
Oh, hold on just a moment. We have another. Next, we're going to call on Virginia. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Okay, great. Yeah, I do think that I'm an acupuncturist, and I do think there needs to be a bit more stringent requirements to getting into the acupuncture program, as well as the actual curriculum itself, and it elevates the entire field and helps us all to be respected in what we do, because when the standards are are not quite as high as others, medical doctors often look at us and say, "Oh, I wouldn't trust you with my patients. I don't like that you guys don't wash your hands enough, or don't even have a sink, or you guys are not clean." And also, like, a friend of mine
Virginia, this
who
is David, the
like said,
moderator.
yes.
Could you say that last line again? Your phone cut
I'm
out.
sorry. Yeah, I was saying that even like amongst, like, for example, a friend of mine, his brother was looking into my degree for just to see what it's like for acupuncturist. And he said, "You guys don't even have a requirement for a bachelor's degree." And it felt really hurtful, because it was like, well, I mean, I have it, most of us do have it. But I do think that having even just a bachelor's degree as a minimum does help people to feel like, oh, okay, well, that's the bare minimum requirement of many other professions as well. And it also helps people who are, going into the acupuncture field. They can say, oh, okay, I need a few more classes to get that degree. And it helps ready their mindset as well, so that when they enter the acupuncture profession, they're actually ready for it. And it's a very rigorous profession. It's very demanding too.
All right. Thank you for your comment. And now we are finished with WebEx comments for this period.
Thank you, David. So, Member Liang, what do you think? We got a lot of ideas and informations.
Thank you, everybody, in person and on the webs, giving us a lot of input. We appreciate it very much. One question I have, I heard a lot about U.S. is pulling out of WHO. Do you have anything about it, Jay?
I cannot clarify that at all, Gregory. Sorry.
Well, because one comment was using WHO acceptable titles. So if U.S. pull out of WHO, so it might not mean anything. If we use those kind of titles like doctor of traditional medicine.
I might be able to speak to that a little bit more. So, granted, I am not entirely familiar with the federal guidelines or put out of the WHO. I would assume that we would be able to, if we want to, still conform to the WHO's guidelines, but it would probably not be necessarily an official program, and that would probably be something to take under consideration if we want to move forward with consistency with that.
That will be up to a lot of challenge. If we continue to use WHO titles and we're not part of WHO.
But sorry, Member Leon, I'm saying that we would follow, it would be our own titles, but they could just happen to conform with that if we so choose.
So California would be able to set its standards to whatever other standards it felt was appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification, and thank you, Member Liang, for your questions. Off of that note, actually, I like it. California always is standing out. I'm just, it's kind of interesting from the background. I heard from the public here talk about physicians and all the others, programs. Is the name when you mention it. Let's see, I make an example like a nursing degrees, all right? So how many nurses in California, roughly, this is a few years back, don't quote me, but I think it's like over 450,000 at that time, okay? So I want to bring this to it because sometimes you think, oh, there's so many of them. As, how can they find a job? If you go to the hospital, huge shortage of a nurse. So however we did, it's always a shortage of nurses. I want to bring that in because I have found out the evolution for the nursing degrees. Nursing currently is around 4 titles. Is nurse aide or CNA, right? Certified nurse aide. You have the training, 9 months, certain education, you get pass the exam, you get a CNA. And then you go to LVN, licensed vocation nurse degree. I believe this one's pretty much weighted out, slowly weighted out. And then the next one is RN. RN is a registered nurse. You own the bachelor degrees. And currently there's an MP, if you guys know that, a nurse practitioner. So it's different than practice nurse, different than registered nurse. NP actually is a nurse practitioner. They have each one of the title laid out their job descriptions, very clear in the hospital. And then there's the highest one, I believe there is a DNP, which is a doctor, nurse practitioner. So, I want to bring this up. You look at a profession, have like 450,000 members and still big shortage, right? But also each title is very clear for us to understand what their job is in the hospital. You can very clear see that. So this is coming to is I would just hear all, from the WebEx and also hear everyone in person. And I just want to through some ideas or, don't chew my head off, So I wanted to make that early. I give you guys, I don't want 11,000, but I also, I want to say is this is just some idea. I'm sincerely open up, want the public to work with us because it is to the point I can see everyone's needed. But I think about it with the physicians, how we did in the past. We always have some of those grandfathers in program. I hear early there is statement public here mentioned, I practice 40 years. My title is licensed acupuncturist. But then you have a new graduate as a doctor of acupuncturist. So how do the patients, because I want to put that in, so anything we discuss or what we do, most important is how do we protect the patients? How would the patients differentiate it? So I'm just thinking, it's like the years, so many practitioner practice for half century, 3 decade, 2 decade, and still call acupuncturist. But what if we have a grandfather's in as of certain date? Today is June, right? So, okay, let's see, as August 30th, anyone on LAC, licensed acupuncturist, we're going to call doctor of acupuncturist. Oh, this is maybe not enough, or maybe this is enough. But then how do we want to put the title? I'm just, get some idea. I appreciate the public here already gave me some idea, So here I listed, currently there's a 2 in my mind. I wondered how Member Liang, how the staff, everyone, legal, you are the most important one here. So there's 2 titles. Actually, I wondered how this is going to lay out. One, actually, the ACOM or CCOM, the idea on the DAIM. But I wondered, does anyone take the DACIM, the C actually as a small letter? DAC, small letter, C, and IM. So basically, you doctor of acupuncture, integrating medicine, but there is a C, small letters there. So DACIM. That's one in my mind. And the second one actually is similar, DACH. H, which means herbs. So I hear the question about traditional medicine, Chinese medicine. I think there's a time, let's see, when we start to practice this medicine, do we ever thinking about it from the race or is it from the names? Because for me as a patient, if you can treat my condition, you can have it from Brazil, you can have it from Africa, or you can have it from China, you can have it from India. I really don't care. I just want to know this medicine can fix me or not. So I thought if you call herbal medicine, maybe this will leave a lot of discussion out. Is it traditional or non-traditional? Currently there's a lot of medicine have a new names, a lot of chemo drugs, right? We all know it. Actually, they come from the plant, herbs. So I just want to throw it in. If there is another one like a DAC, the C is also is a small letter, and the H, DACH. And I want to see this is that this is only for California. In a way, is because we already have LAC. The AC is the C is a small letter. So I'm just thought to throw it in. Member Liang, what do you think? And legal, please. So I threw my head in, and I wanted the public also, because how the 50 years of practice you can't call doctor. So I would say grandfathers everyone in by August 31st. If you have a LAC license, we will call Doctor of Acupuncture, depends on the title, right? Doctor of Acupuncture, DACIM or DACH. And so everyone will be called doctor. Grandfathers in, because I know at the physician world, we do a lot of those grandfathers in. But after that deadline, that's it. Because most of the schools are currently, the newer ones, they have the PD, FPD, right? Okay. You already have the doctor's title, and it just depends how we want to label it. DACH or DACIM. So I'd like to hear from all of you and Member Liang and staff. Okay, Mr.
This is Gregory Liang, public member. For the general public, using abbreviation, the shorter one is the most useful and more easy to understand. You make it so large, it just will confuse everybody. So I suggest you just have a capital D, A, small letter C, just Doctor of Acupuncture, because acupuncture include traditional medicine, herbal medicines, and that's already included. You don't have to keep repeating, telling that on your title. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Let me respond that. I think sometimes it is confusing, because I'm in the hospital all the time. Acupuncture, the AC acupuncturists, they know everyone does acupuncture, but the herb part does not include in that. So I would say is, I hear you want abbreviation DAC. Maybe we keep the DACH, at least the herbal medicines part of it. But then the DACIM, IM right now is fairly well known and adopted. So, but I just let you know in the public, yeah, AC is acupuncture. Some of them, they really don't do herbs. Yeah, thank you. Yes, please, public. Go forward, please. Now I threw myself in the ring.
Neil Miller, Cal. Well, I waited for what your answer was, and thank you. I'll share a story real briefly. I practice mostly as orthopedics, acupuncture, integrate cancer, integrated immune, autoimmune, and virus. Those are my little specialties. And so I work a lot with medical doctors, and most of the medical doctors, the oncologists, they have a blanket statement. We think acupuncture can be very effective, but we don't want you to take any herbs, no herb. And so I had a meeting last week with one of the top oncologists in the city. My patient is very well known, and he's getting treatment, and he said no herbs. So I went and met with him, and he said, well, I've talked with these other people who do acupuncture and herbal medicine, and I don't want any herbal medicine. I don't want you to mess with what we're doing. And I said, well, my practice is acupuncture and integrative medicine. It's more of a compliment to what you're doing. If you're using chemotherapy and they can't eat, they're throwing up, then we have things that we can work with. If you've used chemo and it's working, but you went with Keytruda and it's not working, and you went with 3 other drugs that aren't working, then I can meet with you and we can talk about where it's not working. If you're having problems with the liver or the kidney function or other things, this is where we get together and we work. And I can't just tell you, so, well, what formula you're going to use? Which are the herbs? I said, it changes all the time. If a patient has liver dysfunction after a dose of chemo, and we treat him for 2 weeks and everything goes into the normal, and you've skipped a dose of chemo, now you could look at the numbers and say, we're going to start up with the chemo again. And he said, what would you give him? And I said, well, I would give him this formula to reduce the nausea and the toxicity. And that's why we talked the other day, because he said, hey, whatever you gave the guy, I don't know what it is, but it's working. And so I just wanted to share the idea that I do acupuncture and integrative medicine. What does that mean? Well, it's acupuncture, and there's a whole bunch of other things that we do, herbs and this and that, but it's not to be independent. And he really liked that, and he introduced me to one of his other people, and he made a point of, he does acupuncture and integrative medicine, like he complements where we're coming up short. And so I had a meeting with them. So I just thought that might add something to the discussion, that we want to take it to a bigger audience and how they might interpret it.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to see earlier, if I didn't mention it, I want to add it, but I really appreciate your comment. Actually, that's actually convinced me. So now between these two, I'm going to drop the first one. Seriously, yeah, DACIM. No, actually, I think about it. Yes, it is. But also I wanted to add it, if I didn't mention it. If you have all the other titles, so I call grandfathers in, okay? So we started with the first. So after your name, for us, I will put my MD first and then LAC, all the stuff. So my next step, I would see if I put my MD, and the next one will be DACIM. How did you like that? Okay. And then I also add whatever the rest of the title I have, because I want to see sometimes the public don't know, right? They know the DOM, they know the DTCM, they know all the rest of the title which you had, you graduate. So I want to propose you keep it if you want it, because the public need a little bit of time to educate, right? So, but then if it's everybody get used to this DACIM, the C is a small letter. So absolutely is a small letter. So make sure ACOM or CCOM, if anyone right now, the school try to register that name, you guys please deny it, okay? So the California Acupuncture Board own that title, okay? So I just want to make that announcement. Legal is okay? Okay. So grandfathers in, everybody have the DAC, small letter C, IM. So you practice 50 years, you get your doctor title. The students just graduated, they have the doctor title. Too bad, a different time graduation. But everybody now, all the licensed acupuncturists, you can still add your LAC. Yes, please keep the LAC. I think I will keep the LAC for a while too, right? But this is what I would propose is the DOM, everybody else, go ahead and keep your title, because after a while they might can see the differences. And, because the DOM, you did additional education. So I do, think it's important. You look at many of the physicians have so many titles after their names too. Nothing wrong with you put more letters after your name. I think it's better, because then you get the conversation. Patients will ask you, what is this? What is this? But we all have a common names, right? DACIM. Okay.
If I could add, Neil Miller, adding something to what you just said. A little history in the discussion of getting a doctorate and what do we do? And I've had a serious discussion with a couple of legislators. We were talking around Little Hoover time about putting a bill in for getting a doctoral stuff. And we said, well, you can't just grandfather everybody in. And, make me a proposal. something else. And I said, well, and this was, we weren't around 50 years. And I said, if you're graduating from school and you're within that program, then you'll graduate with the title. And you're looking at everybody else. So if we've been here at that time, it was like 30 years instead of 50. So if you've been in practice more than 10 years, you could be grandfathered in because you've had at least 250 hours of CEs and so on, plus you're being in practice that would go towards that. But if you've been in practice less than 10 years and you didn't finish the program in school, then you'll have to have some sort of transitional period to bring yourself up to speed if you like. And that would be the most fair thing to do, is that, you know, you're looking at, you got 10 years of, more than 10 years of practice, plus all that continuing education. You meet a minimum standard that I would be okay grandfathering you in. But I don't want to grandfather. I thought there was a dog under there. Sorry. The table's moving, so I thought there was an animal underneath you. It's okay. It was distracting. So that was the idea that we came up with. They wanted to throw all the problems that I would have to deal with in the legislature, and that was the answer that we came up with, is that we would circle it around that way. So that might be another thing to think about in terms of going forward.
We have a more public member. Thank you.
I just wanted to bring up, thank you, Dr. Mateke, for your idea, because it kind of mirrors what happens in Rhode Island, where if you are a licensed practitioner, a licensed acupuncturist with any degree from an ACOM accredited program, your title is a doctor of acupuncture or a doctor of acupuncture in Chinese herbal medicine or Chinese medicine. So it's a regulatory licensure issue, not a degree title. And that it essentially raises the bar in California because our requirements are already greater than ACOM's, right? The entry-level doctorate, our requirements at ACOM are only 2,755 hours. So I don't even know the current California, 3,300 hours, 3,000 hours. So anybody who graduates from a California program is already attending school for many more hours than most of the other states. And as you know, a lot of other programs in other states have to come up to our hours just to allow for their program to be California certified. So this idea of granting practitioners the title really fixes quite a few problems. You know, this whole entry-level idea, the doctoral entry-level program, all of that gets fixed by California granting a licensure title of doctor. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Can I just discuss?
Thank you.
Neil Miller sharing the mic. Is it similar to in Florida where they legislated acupuncture physician? It wasn't a degree title, it was a licensing title. Is that similar? That's the same thing that they did? It's a licensing title?
Don't go that far, Mr. Miller. I'm still on the member of the medical board too, you know, so don't go that far. Don't call physician, you know. There's a legal names for that, how you called. No, I understand. I just wanted to see that. But, you know, I appreciate it. Yeah. So I really appreciate, and also Dr. Hoff, and thank you for brought this in. Yes, please. Yeah. Oh, okay. I will.
Hi, Julie Rose. I came here for acupuncture school. I came here for acupuncture school in '92 by train across country from New York. The reason I decided to come to California for acupuncture school is because the herbs were integrated into the program. In New York, they're not integrated. I think probably in Maryland, they're not integrated. And I think that one of the great things about the California programs is that herbs are integrated. And I just think that I love the integrative medicine title, but I really think that one of the things that sets California apart in our education is that herbs are integrated into the program into the training, the education. And I like the idea of having herbs in the title because it sets us apart. Thank you.
Thank you. And you are practicing taking care of a Californian here, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I live here.
Thank you.
Actually, one other thing is in New York, what I know is that you either do the acupuncture tract or you do the herb tract, and you have to keep separate books if you do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not integrated.
Yeah.
Just a communication to the members of the audience. The whispers that we hear in the room are not private, so our mics are quite sensitive, so do be careful when you're talking. Not to kibosh discussion, but you are heard.
Thank you, Mr. Boudia. So I think in the room, and we have some idea here, I think maybe you, Mr. Boudia, you and the team, and also work with the public. Will be continue ongoing discussion. I heard maybe there's more questions. Should we open up, ask David? Yes, yes. Let's go to the WebEx. David, do you have a lot?
We have two right now.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Virginia. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. Start over, please. Hi.
Yes, I'm Virginia, acupuncturist, and I said about having different titles in terms of like there's LVN, there's RN, DPN, or DNP, sorry. And I think that would serve really well for the acupuncturist to have something that is for specifically the herbal medicine. One that is just for the acupuncture if they didn't learn the herbal medicine. And I do think that in terms of the integrative medicine piece, there are two thoughts that come into my mind. One of them is the name integrative, because before that, like right now, integrative is like the biggest craze and everybody loves the name, kind of like the Atkins diet. And before that, it was complementary medicine. And then before that, I think it was like alternative medicine. And the names kind of like come in and out of favor over time. And I'm hoping for something that's much more longer lasting, because I don't know how long people will like the name integrative. And there's a chance that like 5 years down the road, it's like, okay, let's change it all. So for example, at UCLA, practice integrative medicine, and the medical doctors go for 2-year fellowship to learn everything they can about acupuncture and everything else. And in their case, even then, they don't actually say Center for Integrative Medicine. Their name is actually Center for East-West Medicine. So I'm hoping that we'll find something that's really long lasting, that it's not so much about what's hip or what people really like, but more something that will really stand behind for decades to come, rather than what's a fad. And then the second part would be, I believe that there are some practitioners, including the one who spoke up earlier, who's extremely well versed to deal with the oncology patients and know exactly what herbs can interact or potentially like help with the patients. And there are some people who are absolutely phenomenal with it. I'm not one of those people yet. And I feel that for myself, I have not earned the integrated medicine title until I can prove it on a test where there's a specific test that's like, okay, I passed acupuncture and NCCOM, I passed the herbal medicine, and I want something that's separate for integrative medicine specifically. Otherwise, hurt our profession for those of us that are not well versed enough in the integrative side. And the medical doctors say, oh, well, I dealt with this other who spoke up earlier, and fantastic. He really knew his herbal medicine and what can be done with the patient on chemo, radiation, and all these other things. Amazing guy. Let me refer to another acupuncturist since he's fully booked. Let me send it to somebody else who also has the integrative medicine title, which is now everybody. My concern would be if that person is not actually up to par to the standards, it could cause harm in the patient, especially when it comes to herbs, because of the herbal regulations, company to company is quite different. And if he's not well versed in what would be the highest quality for that patient, there might be higher risk than we want. And also, if he's not, if he or she is not well versed in how do you deal with this specific, subtype of patients, it could hurt our profession significantly and send us back by decades of progress. And one way that we can curb it, perhaps as a solution, is that we could have an integrative medicine test specifically for different areas. So, for example, if you want to specialize in nephrology, please go through the short program, but it tells you everything about how those drugs and how those herbs interact with each other and how you can do it in the safest way possible, because it really does take advanced training. In the same way that if you're working with oncology patients, have that advanced training. And like, for example, with me, even though I would say I'm not really that smart, I go through another oncologist, literally, who is trained in integrative medicine, who has both an MD and know a lot about acupuncture, although he's not an acupuncturist, and his wife is an acupuncturist. So I talk to them and I say, hey, for this patient who's going through all these things, what are your recommendations? And I come in with the Eastern side as well, which is my specialization. But it takes so much effort and care to make sure that you are not screwing up on patients, especially those who are in extremely vulnerable positions. And same way that, like, for nephrology, for example, I have a colleague who is a doctor and an acupuncturist, and he did comment during the school program. He said, what you guys are learning about these cases, that is a kidney failure patient. And if you put them on those herbs, you're definitely going to screw up and make their condition worse. But amount of knowledge sometimes when we're going through school. I mean, I'm grateful for him for having taught me that. I was like, okay, now I know what to look for, and I can recognize that because he told me to. And but not everybody has such extensive training, and kind of brings us to need to increase the standards and make little mini specializations where we know for a fact that they pass the exam or have that title, and it's a well-earned title, and they have the confidence to actually deal with medical doctors and say, I can hold my ground and I am safe. I know and I guarantee that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to hear from Lin Yang. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Oh, hello again. Very interesting, the conversation. So I'd like to offer some thoughts. I'd like to point it out, integrative medicine refers to a type of approach. How do we practice medicine? Because you see the many branches of medical doctors, of Western medical professionals, they combine different methods and they call it integrative approach or integrative medicine. So integrative medicine is not a name of a specific medicine. It does not reflect the medicine we practice. So although I understand the integrated medicine is a buzzword right now, so we will all want to jump on the ship, but integrative medicine does not reflect the medicine we practice. So the title of the licensed acupuncturist, if I understand correctly, at the beginning, during the legalization of the acupuncture, we wanted to use licensed traditional Chinese medicine or Chinese medicine, but because when the Western the medical board strong against use the name in the medicine in our title, so we avoided that name. We used licensed acupuncturist. Okay, so but if you look at our practice scope, like I mentioned earlier, the Chinese medicine is comprised of 4 components: acupuncture, herbal medicine, twinner therapy, which is manual therapy, and dietary therapy. So we are practicing the full practice scope of this medicine. So we are not only do acupuncture. So our name should correctly reflect what do we practice. So the current name is acupuncturist only reflects one part of our practice scope. So we probably need to want to return to, the originally we want to use a better name, or the name that reflects what we really practice. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
And that was our last request online.
Thank you very much. So I think we did pretty good with this one. So now I would propose, or Member Liang, if you okay, I would say right now there's 2 titles here, DACH, DACIM. So that's what I would say. The C is a small letter. And I understand because for 50 years, we haven't wrestling with a title, but I like, at least the start voting, maybe the next, let's see the public response. Can we open up some kind of poll, which one they like to call? At least there's 2 names there. If there's others strongly suggested. So far today, I hear, there's 2. Okay, so there's 2 titles here. But I just want to, open up for Mr. Bodia and you and the staff. Let's see how we wanted to proceed on that. We will report to the full board tomorrow, and that's the president, and the full board to discuss. But I think right now, at least we didn't get a 10,000 or 1,000, so we left with 2. I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's not add more on it, please. So, and don't bring me in trouble with the legal part. No physician names being called here in California. There's laid very clearly how we can call it. Other state, that's not different, but I would say grandfathers in. I hear with the time, how many years. I think sometimes you can be 5 years as a faculty. So there's a certain, details, so that's where I just want to throw it in. I want it inclusive because of the part is for majority to agree on, then we can move on to do more work, right? We can always polish. You guys can come back to do more, but let's agree on, I hope this year, or at least sometimes this year, we get our name down, all right? So, Mr. Bodia, please, if anything add, I want concluded this item.
Thank you, Chairman Teki. Yeah, it sounds like the committee has come up with suggestions for 2 degree titles. Again, we are discussing both A and B, so it's doctorate degree and degree titles. It's the pathway to it is not clear. Currently, the title as captured in the Business and Professions Code is established by statute, and it's licensed acupuncturist. The board does not speak on degree titles, as we heard earlier from some of our public commenters and esteemed practitioners, that there is no consensus or 100% consensus among the schools, whether they're California training programs or they're national training programs, not a part of California's. So we would want to be careful there. We can definitely look at, I believe Rhode Island was suggested, where it deferred a doctorate title upon a license status. That's a novel approach, one I hadn't heard of, and I'm not sure if it qualifies in California. California is its own creature, of course, so we would have to work with legal counsel to see what avenues are available to us. Additionally, I would advise the public to be considerate of the regulatory process. While I love Chair Mateki's August 30th deadline for the grandfathering of this title, that is not the timetable that I'm seeing the board able to meet. So if we were to look at trying to introduce regulation, I would advise that our participants be knowledgeable or aware that the board has to address an economic impact of the law that you are introducing. How will this affect businesses? And there are many stakeholders here, not only students who are paying a lot of money to get this education. And if we are looking at calling for a first professional doctorate, that brings additional costs, additional education, additional hours. We are looking at also the schools themselves. If we are going to be, if the profession is stepping forward and saying we want to raise it to this level, then the board will have to address that this might lead to less students eligible for studying, or maybe the school won't be eligible for financial aid to provide their students, depending on what the income potential of the students are afterwards. Moreover, maybe some schools will have to close because not as many students will be eligible to apply. So there's fallout from this that would need to be considered. I definitely, again, appreciate the coordination that Chair Mateki is introducing here. It would be wonderful to have the schools on board with this. For that, it'd be an interesting, unexplored challenge at this moment, just because we haven't looked at it with legal counsel. But yes, there's many facets, and this has definitely been something that I know Chair Mateki has been championing and asking. And as she said, that she's got a little bit more time left, and she would like to address this. And we're all about making sure we can achieve this item if possible. Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Bodia.
Hi, this is Gregory Leong, general members. My main concern is the interest for the general public regarding the title or the doctorate degrees. I think we should have more input from the general public and the stakeholders. If we are going to send out a survey to ask them about the definition of acupuncture, so why can't we tag along to ask them about what do they think about the DACH or DACIM or any others abbreviation for a doctor title degree? So that way, we know if we could take up a position that will be more subjective and more acceptable by the general public. That's my concern. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Member. Shall we move on to the next? Yeah, legal.
You guys might have to go real fast version.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's see, it's 2:33. Should we do, what time I want to be back? 2:45?